Last Sunday's gospel in Matthew was the story where the disciples and Jesus, and then some over 5,000 people, were in a deserted place. They had all come to hear Jesus, to experience Jesus. And at the end of the day, the disciples, reasonably came up to Jesus and they're like, we're in a deserted place. They need to leave. They need to go get food. And Jesus' response was really very simple. What do you have? Of course, we know they responded. We have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. I mean, we can't feed all these people with what we have. And Jesus replied, just have everyone sit down. Then we know what he did. He took the bread and the fish. He blessed it, he broke it, and he gave it. And in that moment, more than 5,000 people were fed. In my homily, I brought up a story about a former parishioner many, many years ago. And it was about this gospel. She came to me all excited. She had heard this homily from a priest who spoke about the fact that the power of this story is not that it was a miracle. Rather, he said, what happened was people saw Jesus' example of giving what he had. And so many of them had hidden food and stuff with them that they were ashamed now not to share it. And that's where all of this abundance came from. It was from them following the example of Jesus. And when she looked at me, she says, so what do you think? And I know I disappointed her because I was not enthusiastic about this at all. In fact, what I really think happens far too often is that we have a tendency of trying to downplay the miracles of Jesus and really sort of center everything in ourselves. And that's really heresy. The reality is we can't accomplish anything without Christ. Nothing of value, nothing of meaning is possible without the grace of God. And when we try to downplay the miracles and we try to center things in the human person, apart from what it is that God is doing, we lose what Christianity is actually all about. If you think about it, the reality is what happened in that moment is so powerful. God acted through them. The real miracle isn't how the 5,000 got fed in a sense. It's the reality of what God did. It is God who made a miracle in that moment. But it's how he did it. He did it through the apostles. They gave their bread and wine, their bread and the fish. And it's that reminder that what is impossible for us, with the grace of God, all things are possible. And that to me is really at the heart of this story. It's that by God's grace, anything can be accomplished. I look at it just this way. I don't have the capacity to change bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ. But when God in that moment, as the praying of the Eucharistic prayer, pours forth the Holy Spirit upon me, through me, it is then that the miracle can happen. In Christian life, it is always about what God is doing, what God is accomplishing. We should never downplay the power of miracles, because they are a witness to God acting in our lives in a profound way. The Eucharist is one of those such miracles. The power of the Eucharist is that reality that what is impossible for me to do, through God's grace and through His enduring love and mercy, is made possible through me. It's not something I could do on my own. It's not anything any priest could do on their own. Apart from God, apart from His grace, His mercy, and His love, no priest could conduct the Eucharist. No priest could take bread and wine and truly make it the body and blood of Christ, except because they are empowered through the Holy Spirit to make that happen. The miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fish, the amazing thing is thinking about the probably 10,000 people that were there, because they didn't count the women and children. And they were, in that moment, nourished through 5 loaves and 2 fish because of the initiative God took. And so that reminds us that what seems impossible in our lives to accomplish, to achieve, if God is calling us to do it, and that's what was happening in that moment. Jesus told them, make them sit. If God is calling us to do it, then God, through His grace, will make it possible. Let us not downplay the miracles. Let us not downplay what it is that God is doing in our lives. Let us instead rejoice that God makes what should be impossible possible. God bless.